You look up at a sky absolutely full of stars, or you stand at the edge of the ocean or the rim of a canyon, and something strange happens. You feel suddenly almost dizzyingly small, and here's the part that makes no sense at first. It feels good, not scary, not depressing, good. So why does feeling tiny and insignificant, which honestly should be awful, instead feel like relief? In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what that feeling is, what it is secretly doing to your brain and even your body, and why it might be one of the most quietly powerful experiences a human being can have. Let me start by fixing the belief that makes people wave this feeling away. Most people treat that feeling of smallness as either a bad thing or as nothing at all. Either you assume feeling insignificant must be a little depressing, so you shake it off, or you file the whole moment under just a nice view and get on with your day. Both are a mistake. That feeling has an actual name. It is called awe, and it is not vague, and it is definitely not bad for you. It is one of the most measurably beneficial states your brain can enter. When you feel small in front of something vast, your brain is not diminishing you. It is doing something specific and something good that most of us are quietly starving for. Once you understand what it actually is, you will start chasing it on purpose. So here is the plan. I am going to walk you through 3 things in order. First, what awe actually is, and the strange thing it does to your sense of yourself. Second, the surprising list of things it does to your mind, and even your body, some of which sound made up, but genuinely are not. And third, the best part, why you do not need a canyon or a mountain to get it, because it is far more available than you would ever think. Let's start with the feeling itself. The first thing to understand is that awe shrinks your sense of self, and that is exactly the point. Psychologists define awe as the feeling you get in the presence of something vast, something so big or so beautiful or so far beyond your normal frame of reference that your mind has to stretch just to take it in. And when that happens, researchers have found something remarkably consistent. People experience what is actually called the small self, your usual sense of being the main character, the center of your own swirling little world of worries and plans and to-do lists quietly shrinks. In one clever study, people who had just felt awe literally drew themselves physically smaller on a page than people who had not, and they reported feeling like a smaller part of something much larger than themselves. Your ego, for just a moment, gets turned down. The most extreme version of this ever recorded happens to astronauts. Many of them, upon seeing the entire Earth hanging there in the black of space, describe a profound, sometimes life-altering shift. A sudden, overwhelming sense of the planet as one small, fragile, connected whole with their own problems, and even the borders between countries looking almost meaningless from up there. It is so consistent that it has a name, the overview effect, and many astronauts say it permanently changed the way they see their entire life. That is awe turned all the way up to the maximum. What you feel standing under a starry sky is a small, free sip of the very same thing. There is even a brain angle to this that longtime viewers will recognize. That constant self-focused chatter, the mental narrator running commentary on you all day, runs on a network in your brain we have talked about before, the one behind your 3 AM spirals and your endless overthinking. Awe appears to quiet that exact network down. It is one of the few experiences that reliably hits the mute button on the part of your brain that will not stop talking about you. Here's the example you have lived, even if you never had the word for it. Standing under a genuinely dark sky full of stars and feeling all the things you were stressed about that day just go quiet. The deadline, the awkward text, the money worry, they do not vanish, but they shrink down to their actual size against something that enormous. That is the small self in action. I felt it hardest a few years ago on a camping trip, hours from any city, when I saw a truly dark sky for basically the first time in my adult life. Thousands of stars. The actual band of the Milky Way stretched across the whole thing. And I remember standing there feeling like a speck, and instead of it being frightening, I just felt this wave of calm I had not felt in months, like someone had finally set down a weight I did not even know I'd been carrying. And here's the warning, or really the reframe, because this is the whole misunderstanding. That shrinking is not your significance being crushed. It is your self-obsession being given a rest. All day, every day, your brain runs a nonstop broadcast, starring you, your problems, your image, your worries. Awe is one of the only things that reliably turns the volume down on it. Feeling small is not feeling worthless. It is the sweet relief of finally getting out of your own head. There is even a decent theory that this is exactly what awe evolved for, that the feeling of a shrunken, humbler self, more focused on the group and the world than on itself, helped early humans bond together and cooperate in the face of things far bigger than any single person could handle alone. Awe may literally be the emotion that stitches individuals into something larger, which would neatly explain why, even now, feeling it so often makes us want to turn toward each other. And it turns out that relief does a great deal more than just feel nice for a minute. The second thing is that awe does a genuinely surprising amount to your mind and body. And this is where it stops sounding like a pretty idea and starts sounding almost like medicine. Let's go through a few because they are honestly wild. Awe has been linked to lower stress and even to lower levels of inflammation in the body, the kind that gets tied to all sorts of long-term health problems. In one line of research, people who reported feeling more everyday awe showed lower markers of that inflammation than people who did not. Awe also makes you kinder. After feeling awe, people become measurably more generous and more willing to help a stranger, probably because that shrunken, less self-focused version of you naturally turns outward toward the people around it. And here's my personal favorite because it connects directly to something we have covered on this channel. Awe changes your sense of time. In actual studies, people who had just experienced awe felt like they had more time available and felt less rushed and less impatient afterward. A feeling that lasts only a few seconds can genuinely make your whole life feel less cramped and hurried. There is even a physical fingerprint to it. That shiver down your spine, the goosebumps you get from a soaring piece of music or a breathtaking view, is your body literally registering awe in real time. And awe does not only calm you, it also cracks you open. It makes you more curious, more willing to learn, more comfortable saying the three honest words that so much good thinking actually starts with, I do not know. Awe is the feeling of your own understanding stretching to meet something bigger than itself. And a mind caught in that state is a mind that grows. Here's the example, and you can test the logic on yourself right now. Think about how you feel in the minutes after a genuinely awe-filled moment. A stunning sunset, a piece of music that gave you full-body chills, a view that actually stopped you mid-sentence. You almost always come away calmer, a little more patient, a little more generous, a little more connected to the world around you. That is not just a passing good mood. That is your nervous system being quietly reset by wonder. And here is the warning, and it is a real one for how we live now. Modern life is deeply, quietly awe-starved. We spend our days indoors, heads down, eyes locked on a bright screen a foot from our faces, rushing from one small task to the next with no space in between. The vast, the beautiful, the transcendent, the exact ingredients that trigger awe have been almost completely squeezed out of the average day. We are all walking around low on one of the cheapest and most powerful mental resources there is, and most of us do not even realize it has gone missing. And it is a fairly recent loss when you think about it. For almost all of human history, people lived under that overwhelming night sky every single night, walked through genuinely vast landscapes, sat around fires beneath the stars. Awe was simply built into ordinary daily life. Now most of us can go weeks, even months, without a single truly awe-filled moment, sealed up inside lit boxes with a glowing screen a foot from our eyes. We did not just lose a nice view. We lost a steady, daily supply of one of the very things that kept the human mind calm, humble, and connected to something beyond itself. And that is genuinely why I make this channel. So a quick thing. If you like having the quiet machinery of your own mind explained to you like this, take 1 second and subscribe. That is the entire point of what we do here. Back to the best part, because if awe is this good for you and modern life has drained it away, the obvious question is how you actually get more of it. And the answer is a lot easier than you would ever expect. The third thing, and the one I really want you to walk away with, is that you do not need the Grand Canyon. Awe is far, far closer than that. Here's the freeing truth. Awe is not actually about the size of the thing in front of you. It is about the openness of your attention. Researchers talk about everyday awe, the small, ordinary sources of it, that are available almost anywhere if you are actually paying attention. A single, enormous old tree that was alive long before you were born. The night sky from your own backyard. A truly breathtaking piece of music. The genuinely astonishing fact of a tiny baby figuring out how their own hands work. Watching another person perform an act of real kindness or courage, which researchers actually call moral beauty, and which turns out to be one of the single most common triggers of awe there is. None of these require a plane ticket or a national park. They only require you to slow down and actually look. I have a tree like this, honestly. There is one enormous old oak on a street near me that I must have walked past 100 times without a single glance. Then one day, I actually stopped and really looked at it and did the quiet math on how long it had been standing right there, silently, through decades of everything, long before I ever showed up, and almost certainly long after I am gone. And I got a genuine little jolt of it, right there on an ordinary sidewalk, holding a coffee, running late. No mountain required, just a tree I finally bothered to actually see. Here's the example, and it doubles as your instruction. There is a simple practice that researchers have actually tested, and they call it an awe walk. You go for a walk, exactly like any other walk, except you deliberately shift your attention outward, toward the vast, the novel, and the beautiful, instead of inward toward the churn of your own thoughts. You look up. You notice the sheer scale of the sky, the impossible intricacy of a single leaf, the plain strange miracle that any of this exists at all. And in the studies, people who took regular awe walks reported more joy, more feeling of connection, and less distress than people who took perfectly ordinary walks along the exact same paths, same route, same legs, just different attention, and a completely different result. And here's the gentle warning that ties the whole together. You will walk right past nearly every bit of it if your eyes are down on your phone. Awe is fundamentally an attention practice, and attention happens to be the exact thing our devices are engineered to capture and hold. The vastness is still out there every single day waiting. You just have to be looking up to catch any of it. So let me pull all of this together because it genuinely changes how you might look at something as simple as the sky tonight. You learn that the feeling of smallness in front of something vast has a real name, awe, and that it works by quieting your usual self-focused mental chatter, the small self, which feels far less like being crushed and far more like blessed relief from being trapped inside your own head. You learn that awe does a genuinely surprising amount of good, lowering your stress, easing inflammation in your body, making you noticeably kinder, and even stretching your sense of time, so your whole life feels a little less rushed. And you learned that you absolutely do not need a grand landscape to find it. Because everyday awe, a tree, the stars, a song, a stranger's kindness is quietly available almost anywhere you are willing to slow down and truly look. And here's the part I really want you to keep because it flips the entire feeling on its head. When you look up at those stars and feel tiny, your brain is not telling you that you do not matter. It is doing something far kinder than that. It is loosening the exhausting all-day grip of me and my problems and my endless little worries, and gently reminding you that you are one small, alive, temporary, miraculous part of something almost unimaginably vast and beautiful. And strangely, that is not a lonely thought at all. It is one of the most deeply connected feelings a person can have, the quiet sense of belonging to something enormous. Feeling small, it turns out, is simply how you remember that you are a part of everything. And there is something almost funny about it once it really lands. We spend so much of our lives desperately trying to feel big, to matter, to be seen, to win, to be the most important person in the room. And then here is this one feeling that does the exact opposite, that makes us feel small entirely on purpose. And it turns out to be one of the most reliably good feelings a human being has access to. Maybe some of the peace we are all quietly chasing is not waiting on the other side of feeling more important. Maybe it is sitting on the other side of feeling, just for a moment, wonderfully unimportant, and part of something almost impossibly larger than ourselves. So this week, do one genuinely simple thing. Go outside at night, somewhere the sky is even a little darker than you are used to. Put the phone all the way in your pocket, and actually look up for a few minutes. Let yourself feel small on purpose. Notice the worries shrink, the breath slow down, the strange quiet relief of it settling over you. You are not looking at something separate from you up there. You are looking at the very same stuff that you are made of, staring right back down. And that, as it happens, is one of the most healing things your brain knows how to do, and it will not cost you a thing. So tell me down in the comments, because these are honestly always my favorite ones to read. When was the last time something gave you that feeling? That real stop in your tracks sense of awe? And what exactly was it? A place, a view, a piece of music, a single moment. Paint it for the rest of us below, in as much detail as you can. And if you want another one of these quiet truths about the strange and surprisingly generous machine you live inside, go watch the one on why time feels faster as you get older, Because awe, it turns out, is one of the very few things that can actually slow it back down. I'll see you over there, and seriously, do yourself the favor tonight and go look up. The sky has been waiting for you the whole time.